Whether you're new to the hobby or a lifelong gamer, it seems there's always another game on the shelf waiting to be discovered. In this series, we cover 10 games that caught our eye this month, both new and old, that we couldn't let go overlooked. Hi, I'm Matthew Jude, but before we start this countdown, I wanted to mention that this episode is made possible in part by Oceans from North Star Games. Here's our very own Paula Deming with a deep dive for more.
Enter Oceans, a vast underwater cosmos, a mysterious interconnected world of tentacles, sharp teeth, and black ink, where survival depends on your ability to adapt in a continually changing environment. There's even more under the surface to explore with the Oceans LITE app, which was released on November 23rd. Oceans LITE is available on Android and iOS. The app introduces players to the world and strategies of Oceans, while giving veterans a chance to sharpen their teeth. This 1 or 2 player implementation of the tabletop game includes a learn while you play tutorial, a solo mode that pits gamers against multiple levels of AI opponents, and a pass and play mode for going head to head against a friend. The Oceans LITE app is available to download for free worldwide. Plus, if you check out oceansdigitalgame.com, or just follow the link that's in this video's description, you can get not only more information about the app, but you can also find a coupon code for 20% off the physical game through the end of January. That's pretty good.
You know what's even better than the idea of a lifetime spent exploring space? Doing so from the comfort of your own home, where the potato chips are kept. And that's why I joyfully wept gently for several minutes in secret where nobody else could see my shame once I discovered that this month's countdown would be starting with the economic space strategy game Master of Orion, the board game, from Cryptozoic Entertainment, though to be clear, it does not come with potato chips. Master of Orion, the board game, immerses players in the world of the legendary strategy video game. Except there's no pixels here, unless that's the name of the beings from the planet Pixelia. Then maybe there's a few of those, but I mean computer pixels, of which there are none. Manage resources skillfully and wisely, and lead the development of a chosen race in the right direction towards extreme intergalactic competence. Players can progress by either military means, training their spies and attacking alien planets, or by choosing the path of creation, controlling the weather and building space fleets. Though, as a side, if your civilization can control the weather, then those Pixelians really don't stand a chance against you. At that point, they deserve to be conquered. Then enjoy it. Master of Orion, the board game, was designed to be a dynamic, well-balanced game with mechanisms that offer various paths to victory, with the winner being granted the coveted title of Emperor of the Galactic Council, which is essentially just an honorary title for a glorified administrative desk job, so good luck. Now that we've conquered space, which took way less time than I was anticipating, let's now turn our attention towards conquering the sea, because it's just sitting there being all damp and such. Aquatica, with the recent 2nd edition from Arcane Wonders, is a strategic but easy to learn family engine building game about underwater kingdoms. In the game, players immerse themselves in the role of mighty ocean kings, struggling to bring glory and high-speed internet service to their realm. To win the game, it will be necessary to capture and buy locations, recruit new characters, and complete goals. And while each of these actions will provide victory points at the end of the game, none of them will get you closer to your estranged father-in-law. Players will encounter a myriad mysterious ocean creatures, and with their help, it will be possible to explore the unknown locations to the deep and retrieve resources from the ocean depths back to their kingdom. Mechanically, this is represented by a 3-layer player board and the unique mechanism that the designers have coined card rising. So dive into this deep game that made waves last year. Huh? Who doesn't love a good underwater pun? Most people. You know, I always enjoy a good bluffing game. Or do I? Perhaps I was bluffing just now. You can't know. I'm unknowable. I barely know myself. But what we can know, pretty sure, is that the next exploration and bluffing game on this month's list is 2019's Nagaraja, in which twin temples of two forgotten divinities containing ancient relics have just been discovered in India, and so players set off on a treasure hunt, racing to find relics and riches before their arrival. But progress is slowed by an ever-shifting maze of paths, making that overpriced map I purchased at the gas station useless. What's more, and perhaps I should have mentioned this before actually, is when you set off on your quest, eternal damnation awaits anyone foolish enough to uncover the 3 cursed relics of the evil god Garada. Yeah, that map didn't mention that little factoid either, did it? In this 2-player game, each player moves around their own temple, which has spaces for room tiles and hiding places for 9 sacred and cursed relics. These relics are placed randomly, face down, around the temples and worth victory points once flipped face up. Each round, the players compete to win a new room tile by using cards allowing them to throw fate sticks. The player with the most fate points showing on their sticks wins the room tile and places it in their temple. The first player to score 25 victory points wins the game. However, a player loses if they reveal all 3 cursed relics. So, as the game box says, move quickly, choose wisely, or take my advice, which is just sit there like an idiot. You won't win, but you won't reveal and unleash the anger of any ancient evil gods. Sometimes doing nothing is the easiest way to avoid wrath. Vindication is a wonderful feeling. Like when you warn someone not to sit on wet paint, but they ignore you and then immediately get eaten by a crocodile. But the game Vindication from Orange Nebula is a fancy-based tabletop journey for 2 to 5 players, in which those 2 to 5 players find themselves thrown overboard for a life of wretchedness by a crew of surprisingly morally stringent shipmates. Eventually, you wash ashore a hostile island completely alone, with nothing except the breath in your lungs, an undaunted spirit, and 40 to 150 minutes of free time with which to play this game. There are distinctive endgame triggers that can be effected through gameplay, over 72 unique card abilities that can be merged in unusual ways for potent combinations, and fresh tile placement each game for high replayability. Through advanced resource management, area control tactics and free-form action selection, players will add companions to their party, acquire bizarre relics, attain compelling character traits and defeat a host of unusual monsters, in the ultimate goal of mastering their heroic attributes and regaining their honour. Sure, yeah, you're still stranded, I suppose, on a hostile island in the middle of nowhere, probably for the rest of your life, but you do have self-worth and a hilarious crocodile anecdote to tell. Every year, Sorcerer City gets built and rebuilt in magically new ways, with blocks moving and rotating in crazy directions. It sounds like a workers' compensation insurance nightmare, but that's what you get for hiring Howard and Fine as your city planners. Players of Sorcerer City by Druid City Games find themselves as rival wizard architects in charge of renovating the same city district over 5 years, expanding it and rebuilding it to gain the most money, influence, magic, and ultimately victory. Unfortunately, and I should mention this before you signed your workers' insurance contract, that Sorcerer City also does have a bit of a monster problem. Did I fail to mention that? I need to work on stating the deadly threats right up front. Regardless, the witty wizards must work hard to mitigate the effect of marauding creatures, who randomly and repeatedly do attack the city districts. So, yeah. The wizard architect with the most victory points at the end of 5 years will be crowned the new head wizard of all Sorcerer City, which is a desk job. And then all will cower and bow at the mention of their name, lest they suffer the consequences. Or maybe the winner gets an upgraded parking space and a coupon for a free fudge sundae. I mean, it's vague about that, actually. But what I can remember is that the second half of this episode has been made possible in part by KEYFORGE, Mass Mutation from Fantasy Flight Games. Here is Watch It Played's mastermind, Rodney Smith, with more information.
KeyForge's world was always in a constant state of change, but now a vault containing mysterious dark amber is open, causing strange and unusual transformations unlike anything seen before. Sound wild? It is! Here we're sharing the 4th set of KeyForge Archon decks, Mass Mutation. With this set, the card pool grows and expands once more, giving players access to quite literally billions upon billions of completely new, unique decks to master, all with the introduction of 250 brand new cards that come from this Mass Mutation set. And with the development of Dark Amber, mutations are now running rampant. You'll discover strange new versions of familiar characters, massive creatures that stretch across more than one card, and the triumphant return of House Sanctum. As with previous KeyForge sets, there are plenty of ways to get into the game. You can pick up an assortment of Mass Mutation Archon decks, each offering a ready-to-play unique deck, while the 2-player starter set contains 2 decks, paper playmats, and tokens for you and an opponent. Follow the link in this video's description for more information on Mass Mutation, and find this expansion at your favorite game retailer.
If you're anything like me, then you also have a hilarious crocodile-based anecdote locked and ready to go at a moment's notice. But you'd also probably fare pretty well if it ever came time to live underground, whether it be due to an international nuclear confrontation, avoiding the wrath of Garada, or because, it's chilly outside and you can't be bothered to fish a sweater out of the attic. And now our under-earth dwelling talents can finally be put to good use in Fallout Shelter, the board game, a post-nuclear worker placement board game for 2 to 4 players from Fantasy Flight Games, based on the hit mobile game from Bethesda Softworks. Fallout Shelter sees players take on the role of a vault officer, fostering happiness among the citizens of their vault. With the election of a new overseer looming, the officer who can gain the most happiness among the dwellers is sure to win the election and attain victory. But remember, happiness will have to be balanced against efficiency in order to lead your people to a brighter future. Underground. Trois Dice invites you to discover the history of the city of Trois during the Middle Ages, when society was organised around 3 orders: nobles, civilians, and religion, unlike today where it's organised around media, influence, and high fructose corn syrup. Trois Dice is a roll and write strategy game in which players are members of a rich champagne family. Now it's everyone for themselves to seize the best opportunities offered by the dice to leave their mark in the history of the city, earn fame by fighting events, developing markets, or participating in constructions of prestigious buildings such as the cathedral. At the end of the game, the player with the most victory points wins, and the member of the Champagne family that lose are left to whine about it. And if you like that, you're going to love this. Typically a roll and write game is only a proper roll and write game if it's from the roll and write region of France. Otherwise, it's a sparkling dice-based activity. I was pretty happy with that, if I'm honest. And now for some lip-smacking Kraken action in the upcoming hidden roll deduction game from Funtails, Feed the Kraken, featuring 3 asymmetric factions for feuding friends. At the beginning of the game, all the players find themselves together on a boat. However, everyone kind of wants to go in different directions. If only there was someone who was classically in charge of organising that on a boat. I mean, the loyal sailors want to get safely back to the mainland, whereas the pirates crave to secretly manoeuvre the ship into the Bermuda Triangle, where good things always happen. Meanwhile, a crazy cultist is busy convincing part of the crew to help him summon the Dark Lord, the Kraken. Because there's always one, isn't there? The goal of the game is for the players to navigate the ship to their final destination. The current captain and their chosen lieutenant will study overpriced ancient sea maps and pass their often conflicting orders onto the chosen navigator, who has to make the final decision. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew is busy drinking rum, gambling, and telling each other tales of ancient sea monsters. Well, actually, I've got this really good story. So there's this wet paint. You're going to love this. Do you like crocodiles? First. This is a great one. This is good. In 1871, with Canada only 4 years old, the Prime Minister calls for a massive undertaking, a Transcontinental Railway to link eastern and western provinces. It would be a nation-defining project shaping not only the economy of this young, fledgling country, but also its identity as the well-mannered cousin of the United States who lost a bunch of weight and finished community college. Chaz wrote that. To be clear, Chaz is American and he wrote that. I'm just reading it. So, to be fair on me, I have no control sometimes. The Transcontinental is a medium-weight Euro with worker placement and pick-up and deliver mechanisms about the development of the Canadian Transcontinental Railway. Players are contractors who work to complete the railway. They send out telegrams along a linear worker placement track, reserving those action spaces for themselves, then take turns in telegram order, loading and unloading a shared train that apologetically travels across the country. So get on board and make tracks for the Transcontinental, coming next year from Wheelhouse Games. From north of the equator to south of it, the game topping this month's list is Brazil Imperial, coming from Meeple BR in 2021. In Brazil Imperial, players must construct buildings, manage resources, explore the land, create trade, acquire the support of the greatest personalities of the country, and recruit a powerful army to protect their interests against the rival states. If they make the right choices, missions will be completed towards progressing into a more advanced era, receiving new development options and earning victory points. These advancements provide players with access to additional constructions as they move into the second and third eras of the game. In the end, the best monarch receives the title of Brazilian Emperor, which is essentially just an honorary title for a glorified administrative desk job. Losers are banished to a ship lost at sea where they inevitably go mad and pledge allegiance to a Kraken. So take on role of one of the great monarchs of the past and show your valour in Brazil Imperial. And there you go, that's our list of games we wanted to make sure did not go overlooked this month. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I've been Matthew Jude. Take care.